Hello and welcome to sixth lecture of our comprehensive machine learning, data science and artificial intelligence course. Now, in previous lecture, we talked about list comprehension. In this lecture, we want to talk about dictionary comprehension. However, before we start dictionary comprehension topic, just one important thing I want to tell. At the end of previous lecture about list comprehension, I told you that list comprehension not only are readable and very succinct way of writing for loop, but they also provide performance gain compared to for loop. However, that performance gain thing is a little bit tricky, and you will be able to observe that performance gain only if your calculation is large enough. For example, this is a script which calculates, this whole script calculates the factorial of numbers in a given range. Initially, I have taken the range only 10. Okay, that means numbers from 0 to 9. And what is factorial, that we had already done. But just for the sake of revision, 3 factorial means 3 multiplied by 3 minus 1 multiplied by 3 minus 2 multiplied by still something? No, because 3 minus 2 is 1. So wherever 1 is reached, you have to stop your multiplicative series. Okay. Similarly, 5 factorial will be 5 multiplied by 4 multiplied by 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 1 and so on. So you just keep on reducing 1 successively and multiply all those terms with the number whose factorial you are finding, and stop only when the last number in that multiplicative series is 1. That is how factorial is calculated. So it is a lengthy calculation, that much is clear. For example, if it is 100 factorial, then it is clear that 100 multiplied by 99 multiplied by 98 and so on, so many multiplication will be there. So that is something which I have taken as an example. Now this is the function which calculates the factorial of a number. That means whenever I give that a number as an argument, then it will give the factorial of the number. At present, don't worry about how this function calculates the factorial. Trust me and take my word for that. But because our focus is on performance gain obtained by list comprehension, not how to calculate factorial. Now, if I want to measure the performance gain, then I import time module from Python, and before my script starts executing, I will create the start time. Okay, so start time is this, that time.time, that will record the current time before the starting of execution of script in this variable. And once the script has completed its execution, then again time.time, so it will record the current time and I will store it in the another variable. And if I find the difference between them, then that is the time which my script has taken for executing. Now if I take range 10 only, that means I pass this factorials dot append. So I have created an empty list factorials, and I am using a for loop to append that with factorials of numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so factorials, that list will be appended by what? Not by their numbers, but by passing that number to this function. Whatever the value is returned, that will be the function. Okay, so then that will be appended. So when I pass 1 factorial will be appended here. When I pass 2 factorial will be appended here. When I pass 3 factorial will be appended here. And let us print those factorial and let us print execution time also. I am using for loop approach for this case, and then these are the factorials of all numbers from 0 to 9. And execution time was 0.00030 and then 996 seconds. Okay. Now I do the same thing, but this time I use function to calculate factorial will remain the same. But this time I use list comprehension approach. So list comprehension approach means how to create that I know. I have already told you, but once again, if I want to create a list factorial, then first I will create an empty list. Then I will leave some space and I will start writing my for loop. That for I, you can write I or n or anything, does not make any difference. I in range 10, because I want to find factorials of numbers 0 to. And what you want to put in your list, you don't want to put I, but you want to put value which is returned by that factorial function when I is passed as an argument. That means you want to store factorial of I, not I itself, but factorial of I. So we are doing by list comprehension, and we are again printing the factorial also, and we are finding the execution time. Now this time it is actually 0.01. This is also almost 0.01. It was 0.00099. So 99 means if I round off then 1. But still actually for loop is executing faster compared to factorial approach. So what is happening? I said that list comprehension provides performance gain, but here reverse is happening. That will happen only if the number of iterations are very large or the number of function calls are very large. So for such small range 0 to 9, the performance gain is not visible, or even list comprehension may have poor performance. Okay, but if I increase the range, and I want to print the factorial of all numbers from 0 to 999. So my range has changed now. Now I will compare. So let me clear out this old output and let me clear out old output for these also. This is for loop approach to calculate factorials. This is list comprehension approach to calculate factorials. And let me even comment out this print factorials because it will be otherwise very long. It will print the factorials of all numbers. I don't want to print factorial. I am interested in execution time only. So for loop approach. Now it takes 0.134 seconds. Now let us see if list comprehension can provide some gain or not. It takes 0.137 seconds. Still, list comprehension is actually slightly slower. Okay, so I will take still bigger range. Maybe instead of 1000, I take 9000. So all numbers from 0 to 8999. And now I find by for loop. This time it is taking long. What is happening? Maximum recursion depth exceeded. Okay, so that means it has actually exceeded the counting capacity of my machine. So 1000 was not enough, but maybe 3000 would be enough. 9000 is coming out to be too big, so 3000. Let us check for that. Even their maximum recursion depth exceeded, so what should be done? 2000. Okay, with 2000, this execution time with for loop is 0.797, 7969. So I'm saying 0.797. Now here with factorial approach, it is 75. So that is 0.76. While that was 0.796, means around 0.80. Now you can see that the list comprehension approach that is actually making things faster. So that is a caveat about that performance gain thing. That you will see that performance gain only if your number of calculations, number of iterations in the for loop, and the number of any function calls are very large. Otherwise, for small range, for loop will give better performance compared to list comprehension. Okay, now let me start with our topic of dictionary comprehension. Dictionary comprehension is also just like list comprehension gives a new list based on certain criteria and conditions. Dictionary comprehension gives a new dictionary based on certain criteria and conditions. For example, here it is given that create a dictionary like this. Now, what is the characteristic of this dictionary? It takes numbers from 1 to 5, and that numbers are stored as keys, and the values are squares of those numbers. So, how to create such a dictionary with for loop first? So, first create an empty dictionary, a placeholder. Then for I in range 1 to 6, 1 comma 6. Okay, so 1 comma 6 means 6 will not be included. And this time I have not written range 6 because I don't want to include 0 also. So I have to specify the beginning of the range and I have to specify the end of the range explicitly. Okay, so for I in the range 1 comma 6. Now squares I. So what I am doing is in my squares dictionary at ith key, because this stands for ith key, I am storing value I multiplied by I. Okay, so I am storing I multiplied by I, a value. So that means if key is 1, I will store 1 multiplied by 1. If key is 2, I will store 2 multiplied by 2, and so on. Okay, so this should give me the desired dictionary. It is giving me. Now same thing I want to do by dictionary comprehension, and the method remains exactly same as the method for list comprehension. Ultimately, I want to create a dictionary. So first write an empty dictionary. Go inside, write the for loop mentally. So for I in range, you can write I or X or anything, does not make difference. 1 comma 6. That is number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then come back to that space which you left, and there you write. But in list comprehension, you just write the value. In dictionary comprehension, there is not a single element which is his member of a dictionary, but it is a key value pair. So here obviously you have to write a key value pair. So what you will write? I colon I square. Okay, or you can write also I multiply by I. Both will be one and the same thing. But then multiply will be have 1, and here this is the power 2 times asterisk. Okay, and if I print, I am getting the same dictionary. Okay, this is also the same example. Again, I am getting the square of number. Only the range is different. This time 0 to 4. So I have taken range 5. 5 means 0 to 4. Otherwise, it is the same dictionary which has keys as the number itself and the values as the squares of dictionary. So these I am leaving for you. Okay. Now this time I am doing this example that take numbers from 0 to 5 and mark them odd and even. So that means what? That this kind of dictionary I want to create. First I will take number 0. Then 0 is an even number because it is wholly divisible by 2. Modulo 2 will be 0, so then I will mark it as even. Then I will take next number 1. Now when I do 1 modulo 2, then that is not an even number. So it is, then some remainder remains. So 1 modulo 2 is not 0, and therefore I will mark it as odd, and so on. I want to create a dictionary in this manner. Okay. So first I am creating by for loop. So I start with an empty dictionary. Then for x in range 6, you can write 0, 2, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So take this number one by one. Now first, if x is 0, then x modulo 2 will be 0, yes. So this block will be entered. Then what will happen? This empty dictionary which you have created, it will get one key added. What will be added? Whatever is the value of x. So that is 0 will be added. And as its value, this value will be assigned. So after colon, this will be assigned. And remember, here it is equal to, but when dictionary will be created, it will be created in standard dictionary form only, because you have instantiated a dictionary. So Python understands that I don't have to write equal to sign, I have to write colon. Okay. So then 0 colon, then next term will go. Else block will be skipped for 0, because the 0 modulo 2 equals 0. That is satisfied. So only if block will execute. But next number comes, that is 1. Now 1 modulo 2, that is not equal 0. 1 itself is a remainder. So if block will be skipped and else block will be entered. So you will get parity dictionary x element, that is 1th element or first element, to be equal to odd. Its value will be odd. So it will be somewhat like this. And it will go on doing these iterations. Either this block will be executed or this block will be executed, and a dictionary will be created. So this is how it is created. Okay. Now same thing I can do by dictionary comprehension, and at that time the method again remains the same. Just there is a small catch. Okay. So what is the catch? First I instantiate one empty dictionary. I leave some space and I write my for loop mentally that what range you want to take, that these numbers. So that means for n, you write I or anything, doesn't make any difference. For n in range 6, because you want to take 1 to 5. So for n in range 6, but now you put here key and value both. So what you will put? The key is n and the value is an issue, because you conditionally want to put the value. If the number is even, n is even, and n modulo 2 is 0, then you want to put even. And if number is odd, then you want to put value odd. So that means what comes here, that is conditional. So that is why I write the first possible value, say odd, or first even, say, because 0 will create if n modulo 2 equals to 0. So if it is an even number, then put that value. Else, what is the second value? Else means if n modulo 2 is not equal to 0, or if the number is not an even number, then what you will put? You will put odd. So then this will give the same as the upper one by for loop approach, and it is giving the same. Okay, but there is one important thing about this compared to same about list comprehension. We also did one example in list comprehension where some conditional things were there. Okay, so here we wanted to find same only even numbers we wanted to store from range 0 to 19. So we did this, that for x in range 20, store that x, but we don't want to store odd numbers. So we put a condition at the end, if number modulo 2 equals 0. That means if the number is even, then only you store it. And this gave me the list of evens in this range. Okay. So here the conditional statement comes last. Compared to that, in the dictionary comprehension, the for loop is fine. Before for loop we left some space and we write the key value pair, that is also fine. But the conditional statement also should be written in that space before the for loop and not after the for loop. If you try after the for loop, most probably it will not work. Let us try. Let me copy paste this thing in another cell, and I take this conditional statement from here to here. I am trying to do it like I did for list comprehension. Okay. So then this whole thing should be read in one, right? Because this was one block. Yeah, this is this block actually. Now here your block is divided into two fractions. This block tries to assign even, but where is its condition? While this block tries to assign odd, and this is the condition for odd. But no, that was the condition for even. Okay, so this will throw error. You can see that the syntax is invalid. So you must remember this thing. For dictionary comprehension, the conditional statement must come before the for loop. Okay, if else statement must come before the for loop. While for list comprehension, it can be after the for loop also. Otherwise, the approach is same. Okay. Now here some exercise is there, and you can try yourself. In our next lecture, we will start with object-oriented programming in Python. So thank you and stay tuned for next lecture.